following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Perspectives. My name is David Schoeneman. I'm your host on this program, and I'm the alderman for Ward 3 here in Nashua. On Perspectives, we take a look at a variety of issues that are of great importance to Nashua residents, taxpayers, and voters on a state, local, and even a national level. We do this so that you can remain informed and that you can engage in conversation with friends and neighbors as the opportunity arises. We also want you to be well informed when election time comes in November. Today we're going to take another look at a local initiative that's underway in our police department. It's called the Community Policing Initiative. And it's an effort that the Nashua Police Department has undertaken to try to bridge the gap, to establish relationships between the police department and our local community. With me today to talk about this are Bill Adamson and Ed Lecius from the police department. Bill is the crime prevention officer from the Nashua PD, and Ed is the community policing coordinator from the department. Bill has been with the department for 14 years, Ed 16 years, and you probably recognize them if you've been to any community crime watch meetings here in the city. Ed and Bill, thank you very much for coming in. Glad to have you here today.
Thank you.
Let's start with what community policing is, kind of the history behind it, what prompted the initiative, and what prompted the crime watch meetings, which that's where I first met both of you.
Well, community policing is really policing back to the days of when we were growing up here in Nashua and elsewhere around the country, where you knew the local beat cop. Back then, Nashua was a small community of 25,000. There were a lot of walking routes. In fact, there were at least 3 in the downtown area. So everybody knew the police officer that would be in their neighborhood. And as times have changed, we've become more mobile, given the growth in the city. It kind of got away from that. And it was back in the reign of Chief Cliff Largy that he started putting the emphasis back on community policing. Certain areas of the city were designated as community policing routes. When staffing allowed, we would have officers walking on Main Street. And then the crime watches were started. Initially, there were only a couple. In fact, when I came on 16 years ago, we had 4. Today we have 39 groups on the books, and most of them were started for the right reasons. Getting to know your neighbors, getting to know your neighborhoods. I mean, in today's fast-paced world, we don't have time to know our neighbors or to know what might not look right next door and things like that. So we have developed those. The Tree Streets and French Hill crime watches were 2 of the early ones in the city. And now, as I said, we have 39 on the books, but not all of them are meeting because the issues and reasons they were formed were addressed, and the folks have chosen to kind of put them on hold. And we try to make them work for the neighborhoods in which they're located. We don't use a cookie cutter. So we don't do the same thing in the Tree Streets that we do in French Hill or Chester, Concord, Cortland, or over in the Maplewood development. We design them after initial meetings with the neighbors to fit their needs and their neighborhoods.
I've been to several of those meetings, and actually we have 3 that pertain to Ward 3, which is pretty good coverage, I think, for Ward 3. I'm grateful for that. And I can see the differences between the one for French Hill, for instance, and the one that meets over at Temple Beth Abraham. Different concerns that the folks have and different level of attendance. And I can see your point, too, about the old days when community policing involved an officer walking the street. Now they're inside of a car, and it's very hard to establish that kind of contact. How have the community or the crime watch meetings helped to prevent crime? Have we seen actual instances where community reported something and the police were able to get on it and solve a problem?
I think the crime watches empower the people at the crime watch meetings and inform them as to reporting stuff to us. The old, snitch, people being afraid of being a snitch and stuff like that. We try to break that barrier with the crime watch meetings, and explain to them that no call is probably the worst call, because they know those areas better than our officers do. They live in it, they work in it. They know what doesn't seem right. So I think it's broken that barrier, and it's helped, like our Pratt Lawndale group. Part of their group is Fields Grove Park, and there have been problems there with different, kids fighting, narcotics activity in the past. And they got on board, and they started calling, and it gets the officers in the area, and they've been able to make, at least they've made arrests, but they also are visible down there. They make contact with people that are sitting in cars, at 11, 12 o'clock at night. That obviously, that raises some suspicion, and with a lot of the residents are abutters to the property, it gives them peace of mind.
Yeah. How does a Crime Watch meeting start, and what seems to prompt it?
Well, we'll get a call, and people have noise in the neighborhood, a lot of coming and goings in the neighborhood, or a problem house in the neighborhood. And so they've called in, and we've responded from time to time, but it just isn't getting cured, if you will. So the officers will suggest, why don't they call Bill or myself and talk about setting up a neighborhood watch. So when the initial call comes in, I try to get as much information about what they perceive their needs are and their issues are. And then we find a night that works for them and us, because we only do these Monday through Thursday evenings. And we'll hold that proverbial first meeting. And we'll come in and we'll listen to everybody and get their concerns. Bill usually runs calls. We kind of work with our IT folks, and we quadrant off a section of the city that the group is located in, and we run the calls for 6 to 8 months to a year, just to see what kind of repetitiveness there is and addresses or types of call. And we'll go and we'll meet with them. We'll hear them out. We'll kind of decide at the first meeting or second meeting, yeah, there is a need for a group here. And so then we'll set them up, and we'll ask for one of them to step up and be the leader of the group, only so that we have a conduit that we can reach out to. We encourage them to set up either a Gmail or Yahoo type group or other communication by email group, so that they can communicate with each other. When we have stuff, we'll send it to them to distribute to their groups. We send them a monthly report for their area so that they can see before the meeting what's happened. And then we figure out how often we need to meet. I mean, we have a couple of groups that meet once a year.
Oh, really?
We have a couple that meet every month, every other month, and quarterly. And so that's why I say they're not cookie cutter. They're designed to the neighborhood to meet their needs and concerns. And we bring them in and make them part of our family. They get first opportunity to sign up for our Citizens Academy. It's held once a year. The chief has regular meetings with the group leaders. And so, they're brought in, they're on board, and the importance of them calling us is, as you know, you still get calls as an alderman that we've never heard of until you bring them to our attention, because people would rather call their alderman than call us.
Sure.
And we try to explain to them that when they call, we're going to ask for their name, their address, their date of birth, social security number. Some of that is for statistical reporting purposes for the Department of Justice, but they don't have to give that. Just say that you prefer to remain anonymous.
Right.
But one of the reasons we ask for a callback number and a name, you call and say there's a large group fighting in the middle of the street. Our officers get there, the group is gone. Now they'll drive around the neighborhood, but if they have a number they can call, because most of them have cell phones, and just say, we're here, we don't find anything, can you tell us which direction they went off in? Then we can go and pursue it. But you can remain anonymous, and that's not a problem. We'll still answer your call, because every call gets answered.
That sounds great. Do you encourage the folks in those groups to call you guys directly, or do you want them to call the main number?
Both.
Both.
Depends. If it's something, at night or on the weekends, definitely call the main number.
Sure.
But if there's something that's happened that you'd like to discuss further or want more information on, you can call Bill or myself. We'll tell them what we can and get them what information we can. And we tell them, too, if they're one of these groups that aren't meeting monthly, don't wait for the monthly meeting. Call us, and if need be, we'll set up a meeting in the interim on a night that works for everybody, so we can nip whatever it is in the bud.
That's the way to do it. I call you frequently, as you know, or I send you an email.
I hear from several of your colleagues as well.
But I think it's great because I have a face to associate with the name. So I'm not just picking up a phone and calling a number that's a generic number. I'm calling somebody that I know. And I think that's the advantage of the Crime Watch meetings, is that they begin to see, the public begins to see a face of a representative of the police department. So now it's not this police department, this group that I need to fear potentially. It's a group that is there to help me, and I know these guys, and they're normal guys.
And it's evolved over time. And whenever the sector officer in the area where the meeting's being held can come to the meeting, he or she will, so that people get to meet the officer that's in that area. And most of the officers are there for a year or two on those routes, so they get to meet the officer that's going to be there 4 days a week, except for the days off. They're also going to have an opportunity to interact with some of our superior officers who may come to the meetings and put faces with names, as well as meeting their neighbors, which to me and Bill is the biggest thing. In today's society, you don't know your neighbor because you're too busy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the chief came to the last meeting that I was at, and he had a great presentation. He talked about the opioid crisis and what we're trying to do in the department to help curb this problem here, and he had a lot of good insights, I think, and it was great for the public to have a chance to meet with him. One of the things you've talked about, too, is this new initiative called Coffee with a Cop. What's that all about?
What that is NPD, we can't stake claim to that. It's not something original we came up with.
Okay.
It started out in California, Hawthorne, California, and it was a way to almost be an extension of our Crime Watch groups, a way to break down that barrier of they're the police, we're the citizens. There's no agenda. You just get together at a coffee shop. Officers will be assigned to it, and people can come in and talk about any accolades they want to give to the police department, any issues they have with the police department, or if they just want to talk about current events or sports. That's what it's about. So we've never done it here in Nashua, so we're looking to do it in the near future. We haven't nailed down a date yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to have it at 4 different locations.
Okay.
We have some different coffee shops that have graciously decided to sponsor it, and we're hoping to roll that out soon. But it's a great way for the citizens to meet with the officers and get on a personal level, just shoot the breeze. The initial one, we have some special guests from the department that we're trying to iron out, but we'd like to do it in the future, roll it out, and just have different people from different areas of the department, be it detectives, people from our training division, attend these. So gets a little bit of variety out there, and people can, like you said with us, put a face with the name.
Right. How long will these sessions be, and when do you think you'll start them?
We're hoping probably by May, early May. Okay. We'd like to do it.
Once a month kind of a thing?
I don't think we would do it that often because I feel like it would lose its effectiveness. So maybe every other month. We're also going to gauge it on the success and the turnout that we have at this first event.
How has it worked out in Hawthorne? Do you have any feedback?
They started the program. They have all kinds of resources that they allow agencies throughout the United States to use. Flyers. They come out and they do trainings, actually, the officers that started this. So it's been very successful out there.
I'm certainly looking forward to that. In Ward 3, we talked about doing it at Bonhoeffer. I think that'd be great.
Yep.
That's a nice coffee shop. There's certainly a lot of people stop by, and most of these coffee shops are popular spots in the neighborhood. So it's a chance for people to go where they normally go to have a cup of coffee in the morning and to spend some time with an officer.
Right, and that's why we're doing 4 the first time. I mean, Nashua's a big place, so we want to have one in the north end, 1 downtown. It ends up being 2 downtown, and then we'll have 1 in the south end of the city as well.
What are some of the biggest problems that you see that either the Crime Watch or the Coffee with a Cop program can help to address in the city?
With the Crime Watch, it's the reluctance of people to call. They don't want to bother us.
Oh.
And that's why Bill alluded to it earlier. The only dumb call is the one you don't make. We're out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And you ask any of our officers, male or female, would they rather get a call and come to your house and find out that it's nothing than to not have a call and have something serious or tragic take place? And they spend the rest of their shift, ascertaining facts and writing reports. And we try to encourage people. That's why we do these proactive programs. You know, we've been doing training on how to react and respond if you get caught in an active shooter situation.
Yes.
Those have been very well attended, and the Uniform Field Operations Bureau have been conducting those along with our training division, and those have been well received and well attended. Bill will go out and do trainings. A couple of years ago, there was a rash of burglaries in downtown Nashua, so we got together with the Chamber and the Great American Downtown, and in the Hunt Building, we offered a coffee and donut meeting at 7 a.m. for the businesses to come in. Bill put on a PowerPoint presentation about do's, don'ts, and then we talked some specifics to those who wanted to. The chief was there, our burglary unit was there, and we just gave them some tips on what they should do. So we try to be very proactive, and that all falls under the community policing umbrella. To be out in the community dealing with businesses, with citizens, so that, again, they've got a face and a name and know that we're just a phone call away.
For the benefit of some of the folks who might be watching now who have not attended any of those or heard what the advised procedure might be if you encounter some kind of a problem on the street, briefly, can you tell those folks who might be listening here in a minute or two what they should do? Engage, or run, or what do we do?
We'd want them to their safety is number one.
Okay.
You know, call us. We always suggest, you know, if you call 911, that's great. But speed dial 594-3500 and get us as much information as you can. And if it's a dangerous situation, don't put yourself in harm's way. Don't try and intervene.
Don't try to be a hero. Let the police take care of the issue. What are some other initiatives that are underway from community policing?
What we've done in the past is we called it the You've Been Bagged program. And what it was, myself, Ed, and one of our commanding officers, we would go to local grocery stores and address people leaving personal items in their carts. You know, it's not just women with pocketbooks or wallets. It's men leaving, you know, iPads and cell phones and different stuff like that. And it's just educating them. It's not to shame them or anything. It's just to educate them how fast people can just come along and scoop those personal items and be off before they even realize it. You know, doing it, we've done it, I think, 3 times. And the biggest place in the supermarket where it happens, people will leave the carts unattended, the items unattended, is the deli.
Really?
You know, you have that time, you know, looking for your number and, oh, I'll go get this, I'll go get that, I'll go a couple aisles over. So we try to, you know, we approach the people who are in plain clothes, you know, usually not dressed like this in jeans or T-shirt or something. We just, you know, tell them what we're there for, and we have some stickers that are made up. We give it to them just as a little reminder, and give them some tips on how to, you know, secure, like women with the pocketbooks, you know, keep it on your person. Use that child seat belt that's on the carriage to put the loops through and tie it so somebody ties a tug on it. It's not going to go anywhere.
Do you find you get a lot of calls from supermarkets, that kind of thing, with pickpocketing or thefts?
We don't get a lot, but it seems to ebb and flow.
Sure.
And it, you know, it's a matter of you get some screenshots of the person leaving with the item. That's it. But you know, sometimes by the time the person realizes it's gone, they're at the checkout aisle. That person's already gone to an ATM, or they've gone and bought gift cards with a stolen credit card that was in the wallet.
Doesn't take long.
So that damage is done.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. What else are you guys doing? You had some training things. You have the Community Academy.
Yeah, Citizens Academy.
Citizens
we
Academy.
do it once a
What's
year.
that
It's in the
about?
fall. Usually we start right after Labor Day, and it's an 8-week program, 1 night a week for 8 weeks, about 3 hours. And we just show people why we do things the way we do them, to partially dispel what they see on TV. We don't solve the crime in 48 minutes, less commercials. And it's not the perfect crime scene that they, you know, and it just gives them an opportunity to interact with our officers, both the detectives, who they may not have an encounter with unless there's a serious crime committed against them, as well as the men and women in uniform, our specialty units, the hazardous device, the dive team, the bicycle unit, motorcycle unit, canine. We do a canine demo with one of our dogs. We do a mock trial on the night the legal division is doing their presentation. Judge Leary's been very good about coming over from the circuit court and presiding, and we walk them through, and they have to act as the jury. And our guys and gals do a good job of role-playing the scenario. And they get to see the chief at the beginning and the chief and the commissioners at the end, and they're just a part of it. And, you know, we've had 1,800 people go through it. This coming year will be our 28th academy. I've been responsible for 16 of them so far. So.
How does somebody sign up for that?
We put it in the paper, put it on our website, and just call and leave your name, phone number, and address. We get back to you, and then once we shut it off, and we usually overbook it because you lose some to attrition. We'll send you a letter telling you you're in, see you on such a date.
How many people can take the class?
We've had 42 is the largest.
Wow.
But we've usually averaged about 25 to 28. And again, there's some hands-on activities as part of it. And it's just a chance to see the inside of the station and see how we work. It's been a very successful program. And again, that goes back to Chief Largy, who initiated those years ago.
I went to the one of the events you had down in the police department parking lot a year or two ago, and I saw a canine demonstration and saw the motorcycles and all that stuff. And I'm a motorcycle guy, so that's always a good thing. I like dogs too, but I don't like that dog.
You wouldn't want to volunteer to put a sleeve on.
No, I don't think so. Well, perhaps that if I had all the padding on, but very effective.
It still feels with the padding.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. The dog's not light, and they're certainly strong. We're running close to our time limit here. Anything else that you guys would like to share about what community policing is about?
We do a lot of community partnerships with the health department, with the hospitals, with the Boys and Girls Club, Girls Incorporated. We work with PAL on some projects as well, even though they're part of our family. We do with PAL and the Boys and Girls Club this annual National Night Out celebration.
Tell us about that.
That's in August, first Tuesday in August. I believe it's August 2nd this year. Last year we got rained out.
Oh.
And it's one of these things, it's got to be that night because of everything you're bringing in. There is just no rain day. But they were talking severe thunderstorms last year, so we had to cancel it. But it's an opportunity for folks to come over. There's activities for the kids. There's a couple of lectures for the adults on things they should be conscious of with respect to computers and stuff like that. And so we're out there doing that. The big scam now is people are getting calls saying, this is the IRS. You owe us money. Go down and get these cards. And, well, just hang up.
Okay.
Because the IRS is never going to call you.
No.
You're going to get a nice letter from them.
Yes.
Telling you, Dave, if we got a deal for you, we'd like to see you and all your records. Because you owe us money, we think. So if they get that kind of call or anything, if they don't know it, you get a call saying your granddaughter, your grandson have been arrested and out of the country, just hang up. Do not give them any personal information. Do not go and get gift cards and call in the number so they can get the cash. We had an unfortunate situation. One person in the city was taken for $200,000, but
my goodness.
The person took good notes of everything. And working with Mark Hasbacher from the Bedford office of the FBI, it's now been turned over to the division of the FBI in Boston that works with that, and there may be some relief for this individual. But if you don't know the person, don't do it. And they're not going to come and arrest you in 10 minutes. In fact, if they say they are, say, okay, I'll be waiting, and hang up.
Good advice. And the other piece of advice I think you gave that's very good, too, and that people should remember is to call.
Absolutely.
Call in, dial 911 if you need to, or if it's not an emergency or you observe something, you can dial the regular PD number, which is, once again,
594-3500. Program that in your cell phone. It's a nanosecond difference, but it gives us instant communication with you rather than that nanosecond from 911.
Got it. And someone can call in anonymously?
Yes. And again, they will be asked name and you
Sure.
just say, I wish to remain anonymous. And then
Good
we'll
advice.
move on.
All right. Well, thank you very much once again for coming in. I really appreciate the insights. Community policing is a very important initiative. We have a very, very fine police department, and I really like the relationship that I've observed as an alderman between the community and the police department. It's vital. Police department is not an arm of the government trying to stop you from doing what you want to do if you're a law-abiding citizen. And I think sometimes police are viewed negatively in our society today. But you guys are service to the community, and you're bringing a face with a name to the folks at home. And I think it's done a lot to bridge whatever gap there might be. So thanks once again for doing that.
Thank you. It's programs
Thank
like
you
this
for
that
having
help.
us.
Good, good. And I want to thank the folks at home, too, for tuning in today. My name is David Schoeneman. I'm the Alderman for Ward 3. And we're here talking with Bill Adamson and Ed Leicius from the Community Policing Initiative over at the Police Department here in Nashua. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments you'd like to share, please reach out to me at perspectivesnh@gmail.com. Be happy to answer all emails, even address them here on the air. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.